Judging by some of the comments, I'm wondering if I've been a bit hard on y'all in welcoming the obvious savior to the New Orleans Saints franchise. Indeed, Spencer Rattler very well could be the only person on planet Earth who can bring all Who-Dats together in harmony as we sip champagne and figure out how we're all going to cram into the Superdome this February for this year's Super Bowl extravaganza. So I've asked an expert to come in and help me figure it all out. That's right. The great Doug Mouton is here this Friday morning to tell me why I am wrong and all of you are right on another fun-filled Dattitude podcast. And guess what? Lucky you, it's coming up next.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, New Orleans? And hello to my friends elsewhere, everywhere, out there. We woke up this morning and said hello to every neighbor walking his or her own dog down the street, heard every bird chirp, cuddled every butterfly who flew into their arms. Everything is right with the world now that the rat train is rolling at full speed. We're ready to jump on it with you if you'll slow it down long enough for me to get my fat butt on there. I mean, you know, I don't have the ups I used to. Got to let me on. Maybe I'll be on. Maybe you'll kick me off. Maybe Sunday there won't be any, but who knows what's going to happen. I do know this. Coming up right now is Dattitude, episode number 293, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Friday, October the 11th, 2024. In case you haven't figured it out, I'm your happy and not sarcastic host at all, Jim Derry. Whether you're watching on one of our NOLA.com social media channels or listening on demand to the podcast, as always, we have so many new people, new voices welcomed into the Dattitude, Rattitude family this morning. I try not to use Rattitude this morning because I've already talked to you about how if the Saints win on Sunday and we need to figure out some parameters. First of all, the Saints have to win. We're going to change the name of the show for one day to Rattitude. If the Saints win on Sunday, got to come up with the other prime. Now, he can't go 13 of 30 with a touchdown and a pick or two, and the Saints win 10-7 and they won because of the defense. I'm not changing it to Rattitude for that. You got to come up. We got to come up with some real guidelines. UBN is here. The excitement he has for this game is uncanny. He may take the red zone off the big TV on Sunday. I'm going to be there. Good morning, Randall. Can't wait to hear from you. We got some good stuff coming up this morning, I'm sure. John Pace, good morning, Dattitude dudes. Grunge says hi. Kyle Sherman, what the hell are you doing with David Grunfeld? Tell him I said hi. UBN says this should be Dattitude get-together game. I don't know. Randall wants to know if me and Derek Carr got a good night's sleep. Derek Carr is probably hurting right now. I don't know. Does that hurt? He said, from what I understand, an oblique doesn't really hurt. You just can't do certain things. I've never had an oblique injury. I don't even know if I could find my oblique. Like, even if you told me where it was, can I dig through all this and find my oblique? I have no idea. Randall, if you're asking me if I'm from New Orleans, you ain't from New Orleans. Do I sound like I'm from St. Louis or Chicago? Where do I sound like I'm from? Yes. Born and raised in New Orleans. I have been here for all but, I don't know. I lived in Baton Rouge for a while, lived in Birmingham for a little bit, very short time. I've spent weeks at a time, short periods of time in Florida, but for the most part, I would say 55 of my 56 years are pretty close to it have been in New Orleans, for sure. Sean, the O-line will be the success or failure of the rat train. We got some bad news for you then. It ain't looking good for the O-line. We're going to get to that later this morning. What are the chances Kendra Miller playing? I think good. Kendra Miller looks like he's go. I'm not 100% sure. Clay, honestly, Rattler's a bum. Was pissed when we signed him. Are you serious? You're the first person I've heard say. Now, I've heard people be on my side and be kind of funny about it, but I don't know that I've ever heard anyone say that. Here's the thing that's getting me. By the way, I haven't even got to the spiel yet. While the running game will be Rattler's best friend, you mean the running game behind him, not Rattler's running game. We talked about this yesterday, and I dug into this further. I don't understand why everybody thinks Rattler. Not everybody. You can't say everybody. As a former copy editors hate when people say everybody or everyone or everything because it's never that. We always make fun of that. All right, Randall, we're both from the West Bank. You don't think we definitely have an accent, my friend. There's no question we have an accent. It doesn't matter what part of the West Bank you're from. You have an accent, I promise. But going back to Rattler real quick, I don't get why everybody thinks he's so mobile. He's never really been mobile throughout any other part of his career. Maybe in high school. Maybe you watch too much Netflix. I don't know. If you did watch the Netflix special, what did you think about me on there? That's right. I'm in 6 of the 10 episodes. Just saying. What did you think? All right. Look, if you haven't figured it out by now, and I don't really even have to tell y'all anymore because y'all are just coming in and talking, man. It's great to have so many new people in here. I love it. You can be a part of the show, whether you have watched one episode, whether this is your first episode or whether this is your 293rd, it doesn't matter. You can be a part of the show by typing in a comment, preferably on YouTube. But if you're watching on Facebook, that's okay too. We ask if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our ever-growing YouTube page. You will always know when we're on there live, which is every weekday, except Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. You can watch us on demand later on. We have weird schedule weeks like we had last week, this week, and next week. We'll have to tell you when we're going on, but you'll always know, and you'll have access to all of our shows and short takes. You can get in touch with me on X at Jim Derry Jr. or via email at jderry@theadvocate.com. Okay. Doug Mouton coming up in a bit. We're going to talk a little bit about LSU. As you see, the lines on here. Ole Miss, a 3.5-point favorite at LSU. What do we think about that? We're going to talk about it. Just so happens the Tampa Bay Bucks also a 3.5-point favorite. There's been some subtle line movements that we're going to talk about. I will say this. The odds makers don't give a rat's patoot that Spencer Rattler is starting or not. In fact, when it looked like it was going to be Haener, the line was actually Tampa Bay -3. It moved to -3.5. Now, whether that is because of Rattler or whether it just so happened to move that way, I don't think anyone knows. The fact is that neither Rattler nor Haener, the odds makers, the lines makers, they don't care which one it is. They're both the same quarterback to them. Sean says RPO will be Rattler's best friend. Going back to what I started talking about and stopped. I don't understand why people think that he's this mobile quarterback. What have you seen that makes you think? Because his stats don't show that he's a mobile quarterback. He wasn't really a mobile quarterback in college. Why do you think? I have seen mobile quarterbacks become less mobile in the pros, but I've never seen quarterbacks that weren't really mobile in college become more mobile in the pros. Walt says he can throw on the run. So can any other quarterback that's on this roster. I mean, come on. I'm trying to understand. I'm not trying to be an ass. I had a comment this morning that I saw this morning anyway. Let me go get this. It was from yesterday's show, and I couldn't help but respond. Someone named Bayou Bo Francia said, this guy has an egregious hatred for Rattler. Go Saints. I don't have any hatred for Rattler. I don't know how to make this any more clearer than I've already made it. I am rooting for Spencer Rattler to be successful. Why? Because if Spencer Rattler is successful, it means the Saints are likely going to be successful, and it makes this show much more fun to direct, produce, whatever and go through the comments. I'd much rather have a winning team to talk about than a losing. Winning football is way more fun for us as broadcasters or hosts or whatever you want to call us than it is for losing teams. So to say that I have an egregious hatred for Rattler, my comment was this: I have zero hatred for Rattler. You either didn't listen or you think he's the next Jesus Christ and you can't stand 1 ounce of criticism for the Savior. This guy is not, I'm trying to soften the blow, I guess. For those of you who think, there are tons and tons of people out there. I've said this before. There are tons and tons of people who think that Spencer Rattler is better than Derek Carr right now, even though they haven't seen him play one down in the NFL. Nick says this show's much more fun when they lose. Well, you might have more fun, but I don't have more fun when they lose. That was Rocky says too, wouldn't it be fun show Monday if Rattler sets the dome on fire, like literally sets it on fire, like he goes up in the terrace and he pours fuel around. See, there's the thumbs up thing. See, it only comes up when I don't want it to come up. Can't do it any other way. You mean if he like goes and puts lighter fluid around section 640 and tosses a match, that kind of fire? There's and I know there's lots of comments. Hold on, Gabe. Don't show him just yet. There are some social media comments. Doug's in the green room, so I gotta get through this, and we got to bring Doug on. I'm not going to mention any names. One of them is one of these people is a very prominent writer, not of the Saints in New Orleans. He doesn't particularly add anything well to social media. I don't read what he writes because I really don't care that much about what he writes. I don't need to mention his name, though. You can Google this if you want to. You can put it in an X, and I'm sure if you wanted to find it hard enough who I'm talking about, you can go find it. He says, even if Spencer Rattler sucks, it doesn't make Derek Carr good. See, as much as I don't understand the fascination with Derek Carr. I mean, with Spencer Rattler, but I understand even less the hatred for Derek Carr. It's insane. Jerry's back. Where you been, Jerry? Happy Friday. I haven't seen you. I was thinking about you yesterday. Been missing you, man. Hakeem says Rattler will perform well. I just hope this O-line does their job, gives them some protection. Kubiak needs to make sure that Olave gets targeted. That's a whole different problem, man. Brian's here. He's been having some medical issues, but we're glad you are well enough to come on and join us on the show. We miss you, man. We miss you. All right, look, we're going to be showing comments on and off. Gabe, that is your domain from here on. But first, before we get to Doug, got to end the rest of the show. Let me tell you a bit more about our friends at Evangeline Securities. First off, they do a whole bunch of things. They have allowed me to keep it simple because they know big words could be a real challenge when it comes to my West Bank vernacular. Wait. Shh. What? What does vernacular mean? Gabe, what does vernacular mean? Someone came here, typed it in my script. I think it was Gabe. I don't know what that means. Anyway, let's move on. Simply put, Evangeline can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can help you figure out what that business is worth. Is that you? Sounds like it's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Braden and Ron Hemelt. They will maximize the value for your family-owned and privately held business. And they do that by first scheduling a complimentary valuation. Then you can decide what you want to do after that. What do you do after that? We'll talk about it a little bit later. In the meantime, you can check them out at WWW, says Buddy D, EvangelineSecurities.com. It's been a while. Let's bring him in. He's sitting there. He's been patiently waiting. He's ready to go. Douglas Mouton.
Woo!
My friend, since the last time you were here, we have picked up so many new members of the Dattitude family, and the comments are just off the chain.
Right, I've been listening for the last 12 minutes, and it's amazing. It's awesome.
It's fun stuff. Gabe is back there helping me out because I can't even pay attention to them all right now.
Well, let me say this right off the bat, because a couple of things to clean up.
Okay.
One, you said you're not sure where the love for Rattler, and it is. Look, it is, and it is a little illogical, and I freaking love it. I think
you do.
I love people excited, and look, here's the truth. Like Sunday, we have a baseline. Sunday, either the lovers are right and he's spectacular,
right?
Or the lovers aren't so right and he plays like a rookie fifth rounder. Like that's
hold on. Randall, he grew up watching you. You're a living legend. You and I have been in this business like the same amount of time, but you're a living legend.
Stop it. Don't be mean to people saying nice things to me. You're being a jackass.
I've known you for a long time.
Hey, what are the cleanup before we even start?
Clean up on all three.
Your egregious hatred. How is a hatred not egregious? Like,
you have a point.
I mean, can I have a non-egregious random hatred? I don't think so.
No, my hatred is just it's a small hatred.
I think it's normal. I think your hatred is not.
It's not a hatred. I don't hate the dude. No, I just think it's funny.
And I do have one thing prepared about Rattler, but we can get to that whenever you want me to. I don't want to say it.
Whatever you want.
Give it a roll right now. Look,
look. Here's my thing. Okay, and I know you and I have not talked about this. In fact, I don't think I've talked to you. It's been a couple weeks since we've even talked. Okay, so here's my thing. I don't hate the dude. Okay, I don't understand the fact that he has been crowned savior, El Savior Rattler, since the day he was drafted. The Saints are not smarter than a fifth grader. There are reasons why every other team passed on him until the fifth round. Rocky, the Jim and Doug show. No, Doug would kill me by about the.
What you're doing, Jim, is you're setting a logical baseline.
That's what the show is.
Voice of reason. That's what you're doing. And
they don't like the voice of reason.
I will say this. So what? I will say this. Like, people who are crazy about Rattler right now and are sure he's the second coming, that is a little illogical. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying it doesn't make mathematical sense to think that at this point without any kind of proof, and he's a fifth rounder and all of that. But it's great. If you want to believe that, knock yourself out, because we're going to know the answer, or at least a big chunk of the answer, in a couple of days. So if have that hope. I love the optimistic hope. I mean, you know me, Jim. I'm perpetually scratching for something optimistic.
Here's you, and here you go.
Optimistic, Jim. Stop urinating on people's optimism.
No, here's you and here's me. Okay. Let's go back to, like, let's say you and I grew up in the same neighborhood and we were friends in 1978. Okay. And we're sitting on a couch watching a Saints game. The Saints are losing 17-3. And you say, well, they could come back. I don't think they're going to. It's not over. And I look at you, I'm like, are you an idiot? This game was over like 20 minutes ago.
And in theory, I would have been the idiot.
And this final ends 31-3. So I'm just the realist, okay? And I know people don't like the realist in the room, but that's all I'm trying to be. It has nothing to do with and people think, even my son is this great Rattler lover, okay? He's one of the ones that's been on the rat train since day one, okay? And he texts me, he goes, I bet you're really mad right now that they named him the starting quarterback. I'm not mad. It doesn't make a difference. I'm not rooting against him. I know people probably don't believe this. I don't care if I'm wrong. I'm still going to have a show Monday. As far as I know, I will still be here on Monday unless somebody tells me you can't go in the air, okay? I'm going to be here on Monday, and if I'm wrong, and if these Rattler lovers are right, and they're playing, as you see on the screen here, and if you can't see the screen, the Buccaneers defense, the 30th best defense, which means they're the third worst defense in the NFL by yards per game. So if the rat train comes in and performs well against this 30th ranked defense,
and Bo Nix did,
and I will sit here, I will praise him, and I will and Gabe will show every single mean comment directed towards me, and I'll say, may I have another, sir?
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to be realist, because I don't think that's going to happen.
All right, well, here, let me give you my one little prepared thing. All right, and first of all, Bo Nix was really good again. Right when everyone was saying how terrible Bo Nix was, he was really good against the Bucs and beat them. All right. 32 starting NFL quarterbacks right now, Jim.
Right.
You know how many were first-round draft picks of those 32? Just off the top of your head, guess what you think.
If I had to guess, I'd say 18 to 20.
22. 22 of the 32 were first-round draft picks, right? Because the fact is, to play at the NFL level, you usually have showed it at the college level. And if you've showed it at the college level and you have all the size, strength things, then you're going to be a first-round draft pick. All right. 3 of them are second-round picks. So that's 25. And actually, there's 3 first-rounders not playing. So it's really 25 first-round. Like Tua, I'm not counting, for instance, who was really the starter in Miami. Anyway, so you got 22 ones, 3 2s, 1 3, and 3 4s are starting quarterbacks right now. The 4, by the way, are Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, and Aiden O'Connell. Those are your 4th-round draft picks that are starters. Then there's Spencer Rattler at 5.
And Brock Purdy at 7.
Brock Purdy at 7, and 1 undrafted free agent, never drafted, who's a starting quarterback. That's Tyler Huntley in Miami. I'm counting him because he is now their starter. He's not expected to be their starter. They really have a number 1. That's what I'm saying. And
yeah, he counts.
Andy Dalton is a 2. In theory, they have a 1 that's their starting quarterback. Anyway, so all I'm saying is there's really 1 starting quarterback that's a real starting quarterback. That's Brock Purdy, drafted after
beyond the 4th round.
So beyond the 4th round, right? And there's only there's
Kirk Cousins is 4th round.
And Kirk Cousins, that's what I said. Cousins, Dak, and Aiden O'Connell.
Okay.
And the 1 3rd-rounder is Jacoby Brissett, who's
not even starting now. Drake May's the starter. That's right.
They have right. The list I used, they hadn't changed that yet. And Drake May is the starter. So now we're at 23 number 1s. Anyway, the logical point is the odds are incredibly against you to be a 5th-round pick and be a successful starting quarterback. The one guy who was taken after him is Brock Purdy, who people love to crap on Brock Purdy, although he did a nice job last night.
The Saints can add Brock Purdy, then
yes,
I would be right fine with the world.
All I am saying is that the odds are incredibly stacked against him. That being said, if you want to throw out all the logic and until you see him play, have an optimistic belief, I am 100% behind you. And I'll say this too. On Monday night, I did my little touch screen. I thought, I said 60-40, I think they're going to take Haener. That's who they're going to start, just because I thought that's what Dennis Allen would do.
Yeah.
But I also said if it was up to me, I would start Rattler. I think Rattler has a much bigger upside, and I think I've said this on your show in the preseason. I think Rattler, when I look at him, he looks better than a 5th-rounder to me. Does he look like a 1st-rounder? No, because he's undersized. He made so many bad passes in training camp. What you expect? But the one thing I said about him was I think he has the ability to be at least a solid NFL backup, and maybe he can be better than that. Now, I know they'd rather not be playing him now, but I'm holding out some hope that he can be better than I think. I think you're right to set a realistic baseline for expectations and to give the kid a break. And he's a rookie. I don't think this is going to be Ian Book bad, but
I don't think it'll be Ian Book bad. No,
well, Ian Book had me and you playing offensive line.
Well, so does Spencer Rattler, honestly. I'm going to give.
That's the week the Saints had like 20-something people with COVID, and the NFL was trying to penalize.
I got to be honest. I don't think this offensive line is any better than the one Ian Book had.
Look, it might not be. I mean,
maybe a tinge better.
Yeah,
they got Fawaga, and that's about it.
Right. I know. And that's what. And look, I will say this. You talking about him. Look, his running numbers aren't great because he likes to throw, but he does have dance ability. He does move around in the pocket well.
But why? Well, hold on. This has been the argument by the Rat lovers, okay? That he's more mobile. If you go, by what? What are you judging that? What are you judging that by?
I asked Clint Kubiak yesterday. I said, "What is his biggest strength?" And Clint Kubiak says he feels the pocket really well. And you do see that. When you see him, he feels pressure coming. He dances well. I think he is a more elusive than average NFL quarterback. I'm not saying he's Lamar Jackson. I'm not saying he's Jaden Daniels, but he's
certainly not. His stats say that he's not a mobile quarterback at all.
I didn't say mobile. I said it's an elusivity, but he's always looking downfield. Is that even a word? He's perpetually looking downfield. He's not looking to run ever. Although he did run in his big touchdown drive in the preseason. He actually did run once, and I know that because I was looking for video yesterday. And look, I am going to suspend disbelief. It doesn't hurt anyone to go into this optimistically, but I would also, if it goes south, I'm not going to be surprised.
See, nobody calls up on Sunday nights on 4th down and 4 and tries to piss you off on your show. You see, because that's what JJ's trying to do here. He's trying to piss me off.
Yes,
I'm trying to keep us positive unless it comes to my support for Dennis Allen. And I don't support Dennis Allen, but I'm not begging for him to be fired either. I'm somewhere in the middle, and they don't like it when I keep it real, when I keep telling them he's not going to get fired until the end of the season. If he gets fired at all, by the way.
Yeah.
It won't happen to the end of the season unless they're like 2-10.
I don't even think it would happen at 2-10.
At this point, I don't even think it's going to happen then. So there are some other.
I think there's zero chance of that.
But here's some examples.
Chance of that.
Here's some examples. He's going to be the Purdy 2.0. Why is he Purdy? 1 out of 32, Purdy 2.0. Really?
No, it's actually not 1 out of 32. It's 1 out of a couple of hundred. There have been a couple of hundred guys drafted after the 4th round in the last 25 years, maybe not a couple hundred, but it's been a lot more than 32, and none of them have actually worked out. Brock Purdy is, and look, you see why Brock Purdy was drafted late. He's small. He's not going to physically impose you. Like you see why he maybe snuck through the cracks, but he is.
I don't think he snuck through the cracks. I think the Saints reached through a crack and pull him so hard.
No, I meant
sneak through.
I meant
Purdy.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant Rattler.
No.
Rattler wasn't sneaking through any crack. They're like, all the other teams will look at him like, you can just stay down there. Where are you down there? Okay, you just stay down there.
I like Rattler. I think he's fun.
I know you do. I get it.
Interesting. I think it's gonna. I can't wait. Well, to me, by far, this is the best weekend of the football season. By far, I am gonna go to the LSU game Saturday night. I cannot wait. I am so intrigued.
We're gonna get to LSU in a minute. All right, but I want to ask you.
And I want to. Both games here. I'm sorry. Last thing, Jim. The thing I like about both games, for me, just me personally, there is so much unknown in both games. Both of these games are such a white slate that I don't know what the heck I'm gonna get. And I literally can't wait for this weekend. I think both games are, I think they're gonna be eye-opening, and I have no idea how.
This is why I love having you on the show, because look, as a play-by-play guy and a show host, when I'm not alone, what I do is, and what hosts and what play-by-play guys are usually, if they're good ones, what they're good at is winding up their cohorts.
Yeah.
And in this case, Doug's here with me as a guest on the show. But Jim Rapier on Friday nights, by the way, tonight, shameless plug, VSN, Lakeshore at Franklinton I'll be at my friend Coach Salt's place. But I just wind up Jim Rapier and let him go, and I don't have to say anything. I could take a break. I could drink my water. I could probably take a nap if I wanted to. I could certainly eat a sandwich, and that's what I do, and that's what we're doing here on the show. But to let you know, Doug, going forward, and we may do it while you're on the show, we may do it after you leave, but I have promised the listeners I need to come up with and some people have asked me here in the last few moments, we need to come up with guidelines for one day. If the Saints win, we need to come up with some guidelines. If the Saints win Sunday and Rattler has some baseline number for one day, I am going to change the name of the show to Rattitude. I am going to change the marquee and everything.
Good. How did I not think of that? That's awesome.
So we need to come up. You need to help me with some guidelines here. Walt wants to know what the guidelines are.
You got to get Gabe making a logo with maybe Rattler's head, where you got the cert. I don't know. You got some.
We'll come up with something. We'll find out a way to get that R up there with the D, change the D to an R some kind of way.
I love it.
But what do you think is a baseline for Rattler? I think this. Look, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because I think this O-line is in just incredibly bad shape. It looks like as we sit here on Friday, they very well could be. Well, we know they're going to be without McCoy. And there's a good chance that Ruiz and Lucas Patrick aren't going to play again. Okay. So
I think Lucas Patrick might.
You do. Okay.
No, I'm not saying I think he will. I think he might. Look, here's what I think.
So what's a realistic number for Rattler? First of all, the Saints have to win. Okay. That's number one.
Well, I think that's the baseline. And look,
but if he throws 3 picks and they win 10-7, I'm not changing the name of my show to Rattitude.
Fair. But they have to win. And look, I'll say this. I think there's like this much difference between these teams. I think this is absolutely a winnable game at home. Look, the Bucs just went through a hurricane. They've been staying in New Orleans.
100%.
It's a rough week for them.
I agree.
Okay at times. Denver destroyed them.
The Saints absolutely can win this game.
The Saints can absolutely win this game. Rattler doesn't have to do a ton. He's just, look, the mistakes are the baseline. I think that's a huge part of the baseline is avoiding mistakes, because if they avoid mistakes, they play defense, they can, run the ball maybe a little bit. I certainly think the Saints have a chance to win. Let me just say this about the injury list. I wouldn't believe it yet, Jim, just because they know they have the game Thursday. Like when it came out Wednesday, I told Ricardo in the office, I said, I guarantee you Shaheed and Kamara are fine. Did not participate. So I guarantee you they're fine. They got 2 games in 9 days. They're giving them a day of rest. And it turns out yesterday they were limited. And today they might be limited too. They're fine. And so I think with Lucas Patrick, he was a did not participate. I think that's literal. I don't think that has anything to do with his ability to play in the game. I think he's a did not participate out of pure rest. They used to put more of a doubtful and all that on Wednesday and Thursday. Now they say, did he practice? And they just said, no, he didn't. And I think in his case, it means he's just in an ice bath or whatever you do to get healthier.
A couple things real quick. Look, I know that we've had a lot of shows lately with just me, and it's just been me and you talking. So I just want everyone to know that if you're typing in comments, it's not that I'm reading every single comment. We just don't. We can't show all the comments that we normally show. So I'm not ignoring you. Especially Stefan Well says all he should have to do is win and manage the game. That you can't put a number on that. I kind of like what Brian says here. All right, if they win, and if he completes 60% of his passes for at least 1 touchdown, 180. I think that's a little low. I think you got to say at least 200.
I don't know about that. To me, I think Brian's on. To me, win and 0 turnovers. Win and 0 turnovers. He did his job incredibly effectively. Period. Win and 0 turnovers. That's a great baseline. And even win and 1 turnover for a rookie first-time starter, you can live with that. Once you get to lose in 3 turnovers and you've turned the table.
All right, how about this?
0 turnovers is exactly it.
How about this? Win, have at least 1 more touchdown than turnover.
Yeah, but you don't have to throw touchdowns.
And it could be rushing or receive. It could be rushing. Okay. It could be rushing or passing. At least 1 more touchdown than turnover. That includes fumble or interception.
Yeah.
And you need to combine for at least 2, and I'm making it easy, at least 200 yards passing and rushing with a 60% completion percentage or better. And that is fair and simple.
Look, let me say this. I'm a numbers guy. You watched the Saints game Monday night. Patrick Mahomes was spectacular, right?
Yeah, it was Patrick Mahomes.
He was Patrick Mahomes. But here's the thing. He didn't throw any touchdown passes. You know why? Because Patrick Mahomes doesn't care. His quarterback rating was I didn't look after Monday. But it was the 16th out of the 24 quarterbacks who had played on Sunday or who had played by then. Like, he didn't care. His numbers didn't add up to anything great. In fact, they weren't even good. They weren't even average. His numbers were below average, but the eyeball test will tell you he was spectacular and they won.
That's true.
And so,
but his numbers were pretty good, though.
Oh, Patrick Mahomes is having a down year.
His numbers were good.
Are you an idiot? Have you watched Patrick Mahomes? Yes.
Oh, Mahomes just wishes he was.
Yes.
He just wishes he was Rattler. UBN says.
He was so to me, for Rattler, I don't care what the quarterback rating is, although I will care.
That's fair enough.
I mean, I'm going to look at it as but a win. If they win almost anything,
he can't just win though. He could suck and they still win. I mean, we've seen it before.
But winning 0 turnovers, that means he didn't suck. So winning 0 turnovers and maybe even winning 1 turnover, and I'm in. And I think he was great. And I think that's possible.
Ovide Kibido, we're going to talk about this because the defense has sucked. Okay. They have not showed up. Where is Cam Jordan? Where is Chase Young? We're going to get to that. I promise. So it's look, Rocky, you're a little bit overboard. I'll tell you what, before this show is over, I've got Doug's input before the show. I want Gabe's input later on. Gabe, when Doug says bye-bye, Gabe's coming on for a few minutes. I'm going to get Gabe's input. We will come up with a final guideline on what Rattler needs to do for this show to be called. Doug has got his.
You can't give him any. You got to make Tampa earn every point. So you can't 100%. Give him any. If he doesn't give him any and he wins the game, I'm calling it spectacular.
All right. Well,
and successful.
Yeah.
Maybe not spectacular, but I'm calling it successful. The goal is to win.
Help me answer another question as we transfer from Rattler. Because the love, everybody loves Rattler. Not everybody, but most people are on the rat train. Okay.
Well, and look, he was a way better choice than Hainer. I think,
I don't necessarily agree, but I don't. There's not enough. First of all, I don't think it matters. Okay. So whatever the coaches think, I'm fine with it. There's no proof that either one is better than the other one right now. We haven't seen enough from either one.
There's no
right. I mean, they know better than us.
In games, we're never going to have proof.
Yeah, no, I'm fine with it. They're the coaches. They make the decisions. Whether I think it's the right decision or the wrong one. Yeah. I can't sit here and tell you that I think it's a wrong decision because what do I know? I haven't seen enough of them. So if
look, I watched every practice of training camp, and you definitely see differences. You see the same drills.
Yeah, but I think you're biased. I think you're biased because your mind wants you to think that Rattler is better.
No,
this is the problem. And I'm not just talking about you. Maybe you don't, but I'm saying in general, okay? And there are certain fanboys podcasts that I listen to every now and then. I haven't been able to listen to them lately because whatever. But there are people that see things the way they want to see them.
Of course.
It will happen on Sunday. They will see them the way they want to see them, which leads into my next question. Okay. Mm-hmm. As I transition from Rattler, okay, you can love Rattler. I get all that. And I'm about to bring Big Sean's probably about to comment, and I'm sure Randall's about to comment when I ask this question. Why do people, I never understood this. I don't understand it now. I didn't understand it before. Why do they hate Derek Carr so much where they're almost taking joy in the fact that he's hurt and can't play, and they think Rattler's going to be the savior? But why do they hate Derek Carr so much? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't quite get that either. I mean, he's not Drew Brees, and they paid him a lot of money. And whether people like this or not, and no matter how good Rattler is, Derek Carr is the quarterback when he comes back. And I think, based on what I know about this injury, and it's an incredibly common baseball injury, I think he's going to miss these 2 weeks and be back for the game after Denver.
Okay.
I don't know. And look, my friends who are very logical people hate Derek Carr as well. And with Derek Carr, hold
on. I hate to interrupt you. I hate to interrupt you.
We know and hate.
I hate to interrupt you, but I've got to show this because I said this earlier, and people just they either don't listen, get the wax out of your ears, or go to the doctor and make sure you're not deaf or you can't read. One of the two, okay? Because I have answered this question 1,000 times, and you still don't get it. I don't hate Spencer Rattler. I am a realist. Spencer Rattler was a 5th-round pick. I don't know how else to tell you that I just don't think he's going to be nearly as great as you think he's going to be. And if I'm wrong, I will come back on Monday and eat crow. Don't jump into my show 40 minutes into the show and ask me why you haven't been paying attention or you can't read. If you can't read, I can't help you because my tutoring days are over. Okay? So figure it out for yourself.
The truth is, and this is the truth, that logically you are right. that logically,
I know I am.
Logically, he is not going to be the next coming. That's what logic and that's what math will tell you. The math of all the guys taken after round 4, how many of them become productive NFL quarterbacks? The number is incredibly tiny.
And Randall's question,
you can't have hope because you don't know the answer about him yet.
No, but leading into what we're asking here, and I knew Randall would come back with some asinine question because he hates Derek Carr so much, is what has he ever won in 11 seasons in the NFL? He hasn't played on a decent team. Archie Manning played on a bunch of teams that sucked throughout his career. Do we think that Archie Manning was a bad quarterback? You're too young probably to remember Archie Manning. I don't know how old you are, Randall. But Archie Manning was a fantastic quarterback that won the offensive MVP once for a 7-9 football team. Derek Carr's QBR and rating have always been, except for one season, been 12th or higher. He has never, ever, ever played for a team that had an offensive line that was graded better than 20th by PFF, and he still doesn't. So if you want to hate on Derek Carr, if you think Derek Carr is even in the top 15 of the Saints' problems, you need to get your head checked and go feed pigeons on Sunday. That is so back to the question, Doug, and we'll not interrupt you this time, I promise. Why do they hate Derek Carr?
Yeah, and I don't have an answer. And look, just numerically, Derek Carr has never been an elite NFL quarterback.
He's not an elite.
He's always
100%.
been a pretty good NFL quarterback.
Exactly.
Look, you saw best case scenario with a running game, what he can do as a quarterback in those first
49 points.
He was great when everything around him was good. He cannot carry a team. And look, I agree. I keep going back to Drew Brees' last year.
There are only 5 of those, 4 or 5 of those.
He couldn't throw the ball downfield, but still somehow was top 5 in passer rating and still led the Saints to a whole bunch of wins, and just how amazing he was. And I do think that that's simply what it comes down to, that Derek Carr was billed at, paid like Drew Brees and is not going to be that guy ever. And I still think New Orleans needs a few more years to get over Drew Brees. And I do think
that's exactly right.
And I will say this about Derek Carr, and I know nobody cares, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think he is genuinely a decent person too, which I find myself pulling for him. He gets to the games early. He signs autographs after that practice at Tulane, and we're doing live shots literally for an hour after we don't leave. Like, we'll be working at a stadium 6 hours after a game. Anyway, we're at the game, did my live shots, and I turned around. Derek Carr's still signing autographs.
Right.
And I walked up to him and I said, this is unbelievably good that you would do that. And he goes, oh, yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. And then he, went back to signing autographs. But
he doesn't think anything of it.
And I say that, and I know nobody cares. And don't write nobody cares, because I know nobody cares.
Well, it's like
nobody cares. But what I'm saying is he has earned the right to me by being just a decent person. And not everybody we deal with is a decent person.
It's like Gabe said.
And he's a decent person, and he's earned the right for me to pull for him. Like, I want him to do well, and I'm gonna go out of my way to try to find him. Look, I understand his limitations, and he's not gonna carry your team the way Drew Brees could when all else is going wrong. And he doesn't have Drew's trigger at all.
He doesn't.
The fact is, nobody does, but he doesn't. And he's not that guy, but he's a pretty good NFL quarterback. He needs the pieces around him to be better. And look, I'll say this too. The one he got hurt on, when he's throwing on his back foot, going backwards so bad that he has to torque his body to rip up his middle part of his body like Kyle Schwarber swinging for the fences. He delivered a freaking dart that Mason Tipton feels terrible he didn't bring in.
Yeah.
He delivered a perfect pass in that situation.
Well, nobody wanted to answer my question the other night. By the way, for those of you saying he's never won anything, well, Dan Marino never won anything, as Gabe's pointed out. Dan Marino never won anything either. I think he was a pretty
Dan Marino, though.
I think he was a pretty good quarterback. No, but I'm just saying that's never to me. I hate that. Trent Dilfer won a Super Bowl. Does that mean Trent Dilfer is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time? No. Don't give me. I hate that the comparison to that. So. All of that is fine and dandy. But here was my question yesterday that no one answered. Not a single person answered this question. Don't think it didn't go unnoticed just because I didn't come back to it. had the Saints won the 2 games that Derek Carr led them down and gave them go-ahead scores late in the game against the Eagles and the Falcons, had they won that game and they'd gone 4-1, and then he was still hurt. He played exactly the same way this Monday, and they were 4-1 instead of 2-3. Would we have to hear all this stupid crap about Derek Carr?
Yeah,
my guess is probably not.
Letting Dallas Goedert on the most simple crossing pattern on earth on a 3rd and 18 go.
That's Derek Carr's fault.
Is the most and look, that Atlanta game, not only did they drive and score, they drove the clock down to a minute and scored. It was a spectacular 2-minute offensive drive. And then the defense couldn't hold it, and Youngway kicks a 58-yarder, which now is like
Derek Carr's fault.
And no. Neither one of those was Derek Carr's fault. And look, Kansas City, the Saints got outclassed. I mean, they got outclassed in every way, and Kansas City exposed that horrific offensive line. And the defense, as stupid as this sounds, just got Mahomed. I mean, they were in place. They were making plays. They were beating the guy. And then Mahomes would just do something that they couldn't answer. Mahomes, and I said this Monday night, is playing right this minute like Michael Jordan in the early 90s. Mahomes is at a level that nobody else in this league is playing at, and all he cares about is winning, and he's doing it. Their offense is like 14th in the NFL. The defense is like 16th. Their turnover margin is terrible, and they're undefeated because Mahomes does something every week, and the Saints fell victim to that. This offense has a chance to really work for Derek Carr. You saw that for the first couple of games. We said preseason, one of the biggest faults, it's when Jeff Duncan asked for our opinions. I put the Saints 8-9, and I said the depth on offense, especially on the offensive line, is the Achilles heel. And 3 weeks in, they lost a couple of interior offensive linemen. They got me and you filling in, and it looks like. And it was the one thing that they didn't do in the offseason, and it's the one thing that's biting them right now. And they still this close from winning those 2 against 2 teams that are in the playoffs.
That's my point. That's my point. If they win those games, no one's sitting here telling me how much Derek Carr. Now they're still excited about Rattler, and they still think that Rattler is the savior. But if they win those 2 games that they should have won because Carr moved them down the field and got them in position to win the game, they had the lead. Derek Carr can't play defense. We're not sitting here talking about Derek Carr. We're only talking about Rattler. But that's just the point. And you go through, take that off the screen real quick, Gabe. If you look at these numbers, and if you're listening after the fact and you can't see the numbers on the screen, left-hand side of the screen, I've got where the Saints and Buccaneers rate in different categories. They are 23rd in defense. 23rd. They're 26th against the pass. That has nothing to do with Derek Carr. Okay, so we can sit here all day.
The one thing they're doing well on defense, and it's what kept them in the Kansas City game, is their red zone defense has been really good. It's the one part of the defense that Joe Woods
Hence why they've only 8th in points allowed.
Yeah, they've been the best in the NFL in red zone defense right now, meaning the percentage of times the other team gets into the red zone that you give up a touchdown. I mean, I think Kansas City was 2 for 7 off the top of my head, and they've been really good at limiting touchdowns when the field shrinks. They haven't been real good in the full open field, but that has kept them in games. I do feel like the defense is going to get better. I don't feel like the defense is that bad. I feel like the defense,
I don't think it's that good.
But no. You don't
Chase Young looks like he's out there collecting a paycheck. I don't know what he's doing. He doesn't look like he's giving any. I hate to say this, and look, especially when you're talking about athletes, because they'll say, "What do you know about football?" Well, I know what I see when I've been watching football for a long time, and I know what I see. And what I see is a guy who's half-assing it, and that's what it looks like to me.
I don't. I mean, he's had so many pressures, and look, he's the guy chasing Mahomes.
Got so many pressures. At some point, you're going to get to him. I'm not talking about Mahomes. That was his best game. There's no question that the Chiefs game was his best game, but the other 3 games, he's been almost a no-show. I mean, I
wouldn't say that.
Well, we can agree to disagree, but I tell you what, the number of the passing 26th against the pass,
Yeah.
Kind of backs up my argument.
You're right. But we're also
means you're not sacking any quarterbacks. You're not getting in there. You're not slowing the passing game down.
Yeah, no. I'm not fighting.
It's not like they played. I mean, they played some good quarterbacks, but they played Bryce Young too.
We said this is the gauntlet part of the schedule, and it's over. Like this was the hard part of the schedule was the first 5, and it's done.
Well, the problem is your O-line is so messed up now.
I know.
You haven't done anything on the defensive side of the football in the trenches, and your offensive line, which was already one of the worst in football, is now missing at least 2 key pieces. I can't even believe I'm sitting here calling Cesar Ruiz a key piece, but he is. Yeah. I mean, so you're missing. And look, with McCoy, you can't do it. Byron says you lose 3 more games. I hope you mean in a row. Yeah. I mean, you can lose 3 more games. You just can't lose them in a row.
I think you did in a row, right?
I mean, if they only lose 6 games all season, they go 11-6.
You got to find a way. These next 3, you got to find a way to win at least 1 and hopefully 2. While you get and look, I saw one of the comments because the comments are like flying by.
Yeah, they really are.
Somebody mentioned Eric McCoy. Look, preseason we did a special show, and I said the one breakout potential on this team was Eric McCoy because this offense was so fitted for him because he's so athletic and it gets offensive linemen in space. 2 weeks in, PFF had him as the highest graded center in the NFL, and losing, he was literally the one piece you could not miss on that offense.
Yeah.
And you lost him for a while, and it hurts enormously, and they're going to still be feeling that for a while. If Eric McCoy was in there, you could make do with the guards that we had, but without him, it is rough on the interior.
It is.
You got Fuaga and Penning as your one.
We're going to come back to this. This is how we're going to end the segment here with Doug, but I do want to spend just a couple minutes on LSU and just the overall weekend, because this is a weekend. Tom Casale, who's the sports director at bet.nola.com, said this a couple months ago, and I thought it was so far it's the line of the year. We were talking about that. Apparently, this weekend coming up is one of the top 3 or 4 weekends to get married in America for some unknown reason. I don't know why it is, but it is. And Tom was saying that October the 12th, he said he wouldn't even go to his own wedding if he was getting there's so much going on tomorrow. So I promise y'all, we're going to end Doug's segment here. We're going to come back to the Saints. We're going to make our predictions. I'm going to ask you for your prediction in a minute. So we're going to come back to this. And I know, Randall, you asked me yesterday from our prediction. I promised you I would give it today after I saw the injury report from yesterday. So we're going to end with Saints, but I do want to talk a little bit about LSU. They are 3.5-point underdogs at home against Ole Miss. And the reason why I find this interesting is I actually thought it would be more, but Ole Miss hasn't played great. They lost to Kentucky 2 weeks ago. They jumped out of the gates against South Carolina last week, but then kind of just fluttered around in the second half and won the game.
Not bad,
no, well, I mean, LSU proved that when they went there and barely won. But here's my thing. I think LSU here, and I don't know what I'm going to predict yet, but I want to hear your thoughts. LSU is in a great spot here because they're at home. Yeah. They've had a week off. Ole Miss we're now going into week 7 in college football. Ole Miss has not had a week off. And I think Lane Kiffin is one of the most overrated coaches in college football. I know you probably don't. Most people don't agree with me. Yeah, I think he's over. What has he ever won that's important? Anything that's important?
Here's the logic. Ole Miss has been a middle to poor college football program for the past 25 years. And
Hugh Freeze got all that talent to go there.
The 1 year with Eli, they got close. And Lane Kiffin now has them consistently in the top 15. I'm not saying they're an elite program. I'm not saying he's won a national championship.
And he consistently bleeps the bed.
He has – look, you can hate Ole Miss all you want, and I don't have any love for Ole Miss, but he has absolutely changed who that program is. He
bleeps the bed when it's important, Doug.
He has taken them up at least a notch or 2. So what? He has taken them from a not ranked team to a consistently top 15 team. And whether you think the bar is winning a national championship.
No, that's not a bar.
Whatever.
Are they going to make the playoff?
He has improved who they are fundamentally, whether you want to admit that or not.
If they don't make the playoff, he's worthless.
What? For 30 years, The last 2 years, it's been an enormous game on the calendar. And that's a fact, whether you want to admit it or not. But it's a fact. Not
he
because
can't
of
win big games.
It's a fact because of Lane Kiffin. Okay, he can't win the good big games. Before him, they couldn't win the medium games, and he's winning all the medium games.
Ooh. He's beating Vanderbilt.
You say he's done nothing. You say he's overrated. He has absolutely changed fundamentally who the Ole Miss football program is.
All right, I know I'm in the minority. I get it. I get it. I'm wrong. Oh, I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I knew
you can say yes.
I knew I would get you to say I was wrong today at some point. All right, I want to talk about this game specifically. How do you think it matches up? I will tell you this. Obviously, you can't like LSU's defensive backfield against Ole Miss's weaponry.
And Jackson Dart's terrific.
He's a really good quarterback at times, but he worries me at times too because he's kind of disappeared and kind of gone. At times he looks like the greatest quarterback in college football, and other times he's just like there. So I don't know which one we're going to get.
So much. And look, Ole Miss has this whole defense built with transfers, and you know why they got all these A-level transfers? Because of Lane Kiffin. And so he's got this crazy rebuilt transfer defense that I have no idea how it's going to stack up against LSU. And Brian Kelly's 16-1 at home, and I know Tiger Stadium's a huge advantage. I know logically Ole Miss looks better at this point. I know logically LSU's going to give up 40 points. I am so looking forward to this game because there's so much unknown. The way Caden Durham came out of nowhere, I think is didn't come out of nowhere, obviously.
Right.
But nobody was like penciling him in. And in fact, at the first game when he starts looking good, like I looked up, but wait a second. This guy played at Duncanville in Texas, one of the great Texas programs. In the 6A state championship, which they won twice in a row, he's the MVP. And I thought, how did I not know more about this guy? But I mean, like he played like he's been under the bright lights before. I know it's not the SEC, but 6A Texas football is as bright as the lights get in high school football. This guy's been spectacular. I can't wait. Look, logically,
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
If you gave me $100 and made me bet, I'd bet it on Ole Miss because logically, Ole Miss.
You'd give the 3.5.
Yeah, I would, because Ole Miss logically is better on defense if they both score. And I think the offenses, I guess I'd put them even at this point. I mean, the great thing about college football is the unknown because of all the turnover every year. So that's part of what makes college football so fun is that you don't really even know who your team is.
Right.
Week 10. Like, that's the beauty of college football. Logic will tell you the offenses are about the same. Ole Miss should be better on defense, both based on personnel and what I've seen. If you made me bet it, I'd bet Ole Miss. But I certainly would not be surprised if LSU at nighttime in Tiger Stadium, 16-1. Brian Kelly. Which is why I can't wait for the game because I have no idea what's going to happen.
I wouldn't bet $1 of my own money on this game, although I have already made a bet with UBN, by the way. I bet UBN that LSU wouldn't allow 50 points in this game. He thinks I forgot.
Yeah, I think that's true because I think they're both going to try to run the ball a little bit. I mean, I think they could lose by 20 and still not give up 50. I don't think you're going to – look, Jaden Daniels forced Ole Miss to play a different kind of game because he was so good, and you couldn't even begin to slow down Jaden Daniels, and that forced this game. I don't think you're going to see that much scoring just because I don't think the team.
All right, what's your final score? Give me a final score.
I think the score will be in the 20s to 30s. Look, if you're going to make me give a score, I think
make you.
The logic is that I would bet Ole Miss, and it would be Ole Miss, something like 31-27.
All right.
Would be what I would say.
Here's my thing.
B, I wouldn't bet it, and C, I would not be a 1 iota surprised. I'm betting logically.
On a show where I use almost no. Well, no, I don't necessarily think you're wrong, but here's the thing. On a show where I generally use nothing but logic.
Except about Lane Kiffin when you're just wrong.
Except with Lane Kiffin, because Lane Kiffin's a part of this prediction. I'm going to say that logically, everything you said makes sense. Logically, Ole Miss wins this game by a touchdown or so. Logically, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. Logically, Brian Kelly is way better than Lane Kiffin, and he's had a week off to prepare. I don't know. I should know. I should have come in here with that. I don't know what Brian Kelly's numbers are with a week off, but I suspect they're pretty damn good. Okay. Right. And he's had a week off to prepare for Ole Miss. Didn't just happen. It's not by coincidence that LSU had a week off before Ole Miss, and then they have a week off for Alabama in a few weeks. There's a reason why it's happened this way. I think my intuition says that LSU is going to win this game again because my gut says so. I'm going with my gut in a show that I normally use logic with. I just have a feeling that Brian Kelly's going to outcoach Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. Well, and I wouldn't say that, but I would say my gut says, look, my gut says the Saints are going to win too. Well, of course, we're going to get to that in a minute. But again, that's why I want to go. That's why I can't wait to see it, because I literally
it'll be a fun weekend.
It's not going to surprise me. I love LSU's chances. But look, I love what Lane Kiffin has done at Ole Miss. I didn't hear about Ole Miss games for 20 years, and now Ole Miss matters. And look, here's the real thing, Jim. Both of these teams already have one loss. You can absolutely get to the college football playoff with 2 losses if you just do the math on what the last.
Yeah, but they can't. Neither one of whoever loses cannot lose again.
That's the point. This is, you got one more mulligan. Both teams. Ole Miss using theirs against Kentucky and LSU using theirs against Southern Cal make this game enormous.
It's huge
for both of these coaches.
I agree.
And they know that. And whoever wins this game, that's a nice little resume asterisk.
You had me on your show.
Loser, even if it's a 3-point game, the difference between the winner and the loser. Look, I'm spreading my arms out as wide as they go. The difference between the winner and the loser, even in a 2-point game, is enormous. The winner is on a great track to get there. The loser is this close to being out. Yeah, and we're October 11th.
Gabe tells me that Brian Kelly off of a bye is 20-3.
Oh, that's good.
That's pretty good.
I'm not impressed with the record. That's about what I would have expected. I'm impressed with Gabe getting that together.
He gets it. He's got it, man.
Wow.
And
that's
UBN
trouble, Gabe.
earlier,
but producing right there. That's earlier, what producers do. Of course, the difference is Jim says it out loud. What like the ego?
I give him credit.
It was like, wait, I think it's 20-3, and pretend like it was them. Jim's giving Gabe the credit. Nice job, Gabe. 20-3, which is about what I would expect from Brian Kelly.
Pretty special.
That is a legitimate advantage in college football. It's why both Nick Saban and LSU would take buys
12-0 at Tiger Stadium at night
for years.
12-0. UBN says you got it. Actually, you didn't get it before Gabe. I didn't say it right away. So sorry, UBN, you didn't get it before Gabe. Gabe had it first. But whatever. And he also says that because we have a bet, as I said earlier, we made a bet a few weeks ago. He said Ole Miss would score 50 against LSU, and I bet him. He says that Ole Miss will score 49 because
he said Old Miss with a D.
I know. I'm giving him a break for that.
Yeah, and I think Ryan's score is possible too. Like I think all of these are possible. Which like, again,
I'll say this. Look, the odds makers have the over under at 62. And they have that at a reason. So their predicted score is somewhere around Ole Miss 31-28, somewhere in that ballpark, which is exactly
because that's what the logic will tell you.
Right.
Like that's what in theory should happen. But sports is
it's crazy
half the time, and it's about something silly half the time.
It's rigged, Doug. It's all rigged. It's all rigged. Don't get me started. All right, look. We got to move on because I want to end with the Saints. And very quickly, let's go 30 seconds on each one of these games going forward. Red River rivalry. This line has changed from yesterday. It was Texas minus 14.5. Interestingly, the money line has moved more towards Texas. They just don't think it's going to be. I think Texas blows Oklahoma out of the water. I think it's ugly.
I think Texas wins. I would take Oklahoma in 14.
All right. So we're on opposite sides there. We'll see what happens. Not that it really matters because we're just playing for blanks and giggles.
I'll bet all day long if there's no money involved.
Exactly. No real money involved. And then Ohio State and Oregon. I hate to be on the favorite again, but I think Ohio State, I'm not impressed with Dylan Gabriel at all. I think Ohio State is the second best team in the country. Mm-hmm. I think this is going to be a really fun game for a while, but I think Ohio State pulls away at the end and wins by about 10 or so.
Yeah, I'm Ohio State given the points. Look, I'm going to believe in Ohio State's talent to push Oregon around until Oregon proves otherwise. So I'd go Ohio State and give the 3.
All right, Sean, you're getting ahead of yourself. We're going to give Saints predictions. We're not quite there yet. Moving on to the best of NFL Week 6. I kind of have a feeling I know where you're going with this because you're well, let's just face it, you're a homer. It's okay if you're a homer. It's fine that you're going to take the Commanders here +7. There's little doubt in my mind that you are. But I think Lamar Jackson has something to say about this. It says, whoa, little fella. I know you think you're going to take over this league, but I got something to say about it. I think Lamar Jackson's going to be fired up. I think this is going to be a super fun game to watch, but I think the Ravens pull away at the end, kind of like Ohio State, win by 10 or so and cover.
Yeah, I would take the Commanders in the points. And look, I'm in 2 fantasy football leagues, and before the season began, I drafted Jaden Daniels as my number 1 quarterback in both.
And my league, too.
And your league being one of them. And I will say I'm a little surprised at how great he is already, but I am not surprised by how great he is already. And I can back up that opinion with the fact that I went out and got him in both of the fantasy football leagues I'm in. I expected him to be almost this good and this good by next year. He's just ahead of the curve that I set for him. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be a superstar in this league. And I have thought that from about
I agree with you
last year. And so I think, here's what I think happens. Baltimore maybe gets ahead and Washington scores towards the end and keeps it within 7. I think the Ravens are a better team, but I think Jaden Daniels keeps it within 7.
Yeah, you got Jaden Daniels. I got Lamar Jackson. As much as I love Jaden Daniels, when you talk about fantasy football, especially in my league, I'd rather have Lamar Jackson.
I get that. But for me, fantasy football and fantasy baseball and fantasy basketball, there's also a component for me about drafting guys that I like and I want to watch. I wanted to be able to – I'm going to pull for Jaden Daniels anyway. This gives me a financial incentive to pull for him. And you gave me a lot of crap in your league. I'm 3-2 right now.
Yeah, right. And I'm 1-4.
And I had no keepers. Okay, just saying. That's
I know it is. Brian, by the way, we don't call them the Redskins anymore. You can, but we're not even supposed to say Redskins. So no more saying Redskins. You cannot say Redskins.
You know what I do like to say, anymore. Jim? And I say this on the air all the time. Ricardo thinks it's funny. I say Commandos. I like that better than Commanders. So I call them the Commandos. Most people don't notice because I got the New Orleans East accent, so I can get away with Commandos. But that's what I've never called them Commanders.
So I'm with Gabe.
Commandos.
I'm with Gabe. Sometimes just to be an ass, I call them the football team. Just
the football team is all the football teams. I always put an S. The football teams. Yeah.
That's all right. All right. Cardinals, Packers. Another one that should be fun. This shows you, to me, it's the opposite of college football. It is kind of a weak week. If that makes sense. WEAK, week in the NFL. The Sunday night and Monday games are not good at all, but in my opinion. But we got Cardinals, Packers. We got, I guess, newfangled, new school kind of offenses going against one another. It might be fun, but I just think the Packers are a better team. And I think Cardinals are still a work in progress. Going to Lambeau. Love is back. He looks 100%. I love Jordan Love. And I like the Packers here.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. Look, Kyler Murray's played well again. He's like the roller coaster quarterback, and he's looked good. That run last week was crazy. Just how stupid quick he is. But I'm with you. I think the Packers are a better team. I think the Packers are sneaky Super Bowl contenders at this point. We've got to see some more, but Green Bay right now, kind of on a roll at home. Yeah, I would give the 5.5.
All right. And then lastly, before we get back and finish up this segment with our Saints predictions, this could be really the game of the week. I'm looking forward to Washington against the Ravens. Even though I'll be in the dome, I'll have to put it on my iPad while we're watching the Saints and Bucs. But Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, I'll be driving home for part of it. Hopefully get home, watch the second half. Detroit Lions at the Dallas Cowboys. You see, I'm not a Jared Goff fan, and I knock him a lot, but you can't knock that Jared Goff is good indoors because he is good indoors. And it really doesn't matter if he's playing in his own Silver Dome, Pontiac Dome, Ford Field, whatever the hell you want to call it. It doesn't really matter if he's playing there or someone else's dome. I think he'll be good at Jerry World. I think the Lions beat up on the Cowboys, who are very overrated.
Yeah, of these 6 games on the board, this is by far my best bet of these 6. I take the Lions and give the 3. I don't think Dallas is very good. I think Dallas is okay at best. I think Dallas is at best a 9-8 team by the end of the year. And I think the Lions are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. I think they're a significantly better team, and I would take the Lions and give the 3.
Just think, though. Just think. The Dallas Cowboys had Spencer Rattler. How good they would be then. That'd be.
Now you're taunting. Now you're taunting. That's just not. Yeah, now you're taunting. Now you're eliciting angry responses. You're not getting them organically. Fighting for them. That's not right.
All right, it's prediction time here on the Rattitude.
You're better than that, Jim Derry.
No, I'm not.
You're better. Yeah, no, you're
definitely not.
I'm definitely not. That's all I'm gonna. You're better.
I'm just trying to have fun with my peeps. If you get the comments
organically, get them. You can't chum the waters. That's.
I mean, just think though, how good the Cowboys could be.
Back in the boat. You're not allowed to chum the water.
Gave them Spencer Rattler. They could be like the best team in football.
Stop chumming the water. Stop it.
You can move Dak to running back. I don't know.
You're better than that.
All right, here we go. All right. Saints, 3.5-point dogs. I told, again, Randall. Randall says he would definitely take Rattler over Prescott. See, that's where we are with this show. That's where we are. But I love them. They're part of the family, even though I think some of them are numbsso they're still part of the Dattitude family. All right.
Numb nuts on this show.
I just did. So I did get chastised a little bit. I've been saying some too many bad words. It's okay when they come out every now and then.
Oh, who chastises you?
Zach Ewing gave me a little grief. Yeah, he usually noticed that I've said the S word apparently a little too much. So we're gonna back off.
I know I can never say that. You'll never hear that from me.
Well, we can say it. I think I said it a little bit too much. He's right. So we're gonna try to
Jim Derry, you gotta clean up.
Melanie said, I know, man. I don't know what's going on. He said Melanie wants me to call it, Melanie Michael wants me to call it the Ratty Rattler show.
I like Rattitude. Rattitude, you're made for Rattitude. Oh, you're made for Rattitude. Rattitude is the only choice. I would appreciate the efforts, but I mean, you named the show with ATT already in it.
I know it's perfect, right? You got to do it. If they win, and we're going to come up again, final guidelines at the end. All right,
no turnovers, and you're doing it. Period.
Time for predictions. Douglas, the Saints have another long injury list. It's a little better maybe last week, but all right. You think Lucas Patrick's going to play? Before we get to predict, you think Taysom Hill's going to play?
No.
Neither do I.
No, I think Taysom Hill is.
Neither do I. And I think that's the most important one.
I think Taysom Hill's out. I maybe till after the bye. I'm surprised they didn't put him on the injured reserve. I'd be shocked if Taysom Hill played.
Yeah, so do I.
What I heard about how serious it was when it happened.
Yeah. We got some predictions already. We're showing them on the screen as we go. Brian says Tampa Bay wins in a landslide 38-6. All right. I'm going to let you give your prediction, then I will give mine. Saints are 3.5-point dogs at home this week. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay has been in New Orleans just about all week because of the impact all week because of Hurricane Milton.
Yeah.
Yep. So they're going through a lot of what Saints went through back 19 years ago. But what is your pick, Doug?
Or what they went through for Ida when they went to Jacksonville and beat the hell out of Green Bay in a home game, which was brilliant. I like the Saints plus the points to win the game. Something in the line of 23-16. I think they protect Rattler. They run the ball, and I think they find a way. I think they wake up and play better. I'm not saying this is logical, and I would not put my money on it, but I like this. I have a feeling that the Saints are going to play well and win this game. Backs to the wall. Everybody knows it. I don't think they're going to give Rattler a ton to do. I think Matthew Hayball is going to play a role in this game. They're going to.
He might.
This is the kind of game Dennis Allen. Ricardo always says this, and it's funny as hell. Dennis Allen loves to punt and play defense, keep them inside the 10, grind it out, get field goals. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for them to play a Dennis Allen type of game. I I think they're so familiar with this Tampa Bay offense and defense. I like the Saints to win.
Oh, well, I like the positivity and the hopefulness. All right.
Positive.
Randall, I promised you a prediction. It's really a hard game to predict. I wouldn't bet it. This is one where I don't know if Doug said I'm going to give you a fake $100 and you have to bet it. You know what I would do? I would give
how
it
do you
back
say
to
with that voice? I don't use that voice.
Oh, what voice did I use?
You went, Doug said I got to fake $100.
Did I do that?
I don't talk like that. You make fun of me and my fake $100.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm trying to channel my Doug Mouton. Maybe I can win a baseball league again. I don't know because I've been bad for 2 years in a row. Look, I wouldn't bet on this game with Doug's money. That's how much I have no clue what's going to happen. I really don't. I'm being straight up. I feel for Spencer Rattler, and this is completely serious. I'm not being an ass when I say this. Yeah, Jerry Derry, you're funny. You being. I have no idea what to expect for Spencer Rattler. I just don't. I think the offensive line. I don't think it's fair to be putting him out there right now with this offensive line that is awful. I don't envy Spencer Rattler at all because he's going to be running around for his life. And so that being said, I certainly can't predict them to win. The O-line sucks. Taysom Hill's not playing. The defensive line hasn't played well all year, in my opinion. How could I possibly pick the Saints here? I just can't. I mean, logic tells me that the Saints are going to lose, and they're going to lose by like 10. I mean, the only thing that the Saints have going for them really is A, the unknown of Spencer Rattler, of course, and B, the fact that Tampa Bay has been on the road. It could either be a really good thing, and they come together like a family, like teams do sometimes, and they're on the road together for 5 days, and they bond and all that, or they could be worried about their houses and what's going on at home, and they're not paying enough attention to football, and that helps the Saints. I just don't know which one, but logic tells me that you got a backup quarterback, a rookie making his first start ever. It's not a good thing. I'm being logical, and I can't pick the Saints here. I got to pick the Bucs. I think they win by 10. I'll say 23-13. I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I would take the under if you force me to. But I just don't think the Saints score a lot of points. I won't blame it on Spencer Rattler. I might give a little bit of an I told you so, but I just don't. Yeah, I just don't. Can't pick the Saints here.
Yeah, and you're logically right.
Look,
How do you go in and out of logic, though? How do you sometimes use logic and sometimes not?
Because it just seems right when it seems right, and I'm usually.
No, you're right. As I was honestly, I was like, well, I did the same thing. All right. Because I'm being logical about LSU, and I'm not really being logical about the Saints. I just have a feeling.
I'll give you a perfect example. Okay,
last time when they surprise us and the Saints play a really good game across.
I'll give you a perfect example. I'll win in the last night's game, San Francisco, Seattle, and made Seattle a best bet using nothing but logic. They were getting 3.5 at home. That hook was dangling. Seattle coming off of that rough week. Now San Francisco was coming off a rough week either. But my gut kept telling me, you're betting on Geno Smith, you moron. What are you doing? Don't take that as one of your best bets. Don't do it. You're going to ruin your 5-0 on Thursday night. And guess what? I should have listened to the gut, and I didn't. So sometimes you have to listen to the gut, and sometimes use logic. And I just think logic takes over here. And they'll be making excuses for Spencer. Like all these people, they're all setting up their things so they can say. And I'm being completely serious here.
I mean, look, you can look at the world and people can look at the most illogical thing and find a way to make a logical basis for why that's true. Yeah, look, Spencer Rattler throws 4 interceptions, and there's going to be half of the Rattler lovers are going to be saying it wasn't his fault, and he's great.
No, not half.
That's going to happen no matter what.
No, not half. Huh? Way more than half.
Maybe more than half. Maybe more than half. I guess
none of these Rattler lovers are going to blame. He could go 0 for 20 with 4 interceptions before they pull him, and none of them would blame him. I'm being dead serious.
I wouldn't say none. Some people will see.
Maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah, if you
there are no realistic people.
Some people will say, "Oh, you got a red car." Not everybody's going to say, "I still don't see the red car."
We'll see. All right, look. I got an offer. I'm going to throw you an offer out there, and we'll talk about it afterwards. But, Larry Holder is usually my Friday guest. He's got some Fridays coming up where he can't make it. So if you want to fill in for him on Friday, and you got Friday. No, not at all.
Maybe in the B team?
No, look, Larry gave me my first chance. Larry gave me my first chance to be a host. So, I mean, it really did.
I love Larry. I didn't mean that anti-Larry.
Okay.
I'm pro-Larry.
Larry and Dunk gave me my first chance to be a host. So.
Well,
anyway,
and I'll tell you this. I told you 10 years ago this is what you needed to be doing.
Well, I enjoy doing it. And if you're willing to come back, we'll get together. I got a few Fridays coming up in the near future.
I can't promise right this minute, but send it to me.
But if you're free,
today, I would love to.
Well, I had a lot of fun, and I think the listeners / viewers enjoyed it, and they're obviously
I can't answer that question.
Well, they're obviously pro Doug and not pro Jim. See?
Well, because you're throwing your turkey necks in the water just to piss off the fish like that. You're cheating. You can't chum the water.
Oh, come on! I like to chum the water. Black Preacher Man says he's serving fried crow po' boys on Monday. You got to get the hot sauce, Black Preacher Man.
Man, I would. I can't wait to tune in and see Rattitude.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Look, I'm so looking forward to it. I will be at Tiger Stadium until 1 a.m. and then I'll be at the Dome at 10 a.m.
All right, I will see you in the Dome on Sunday. We will have a fun little chat, and we'll talk about Fridays in the future. Thank you, as always, Doug Mouton.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jim. Have a good one.
All right, bye. Doug Mouton, we have fun. That's why I haven't won. I know that I was gonna for a while. I was like trying to find all the different guests and like go through. And this person hasn't been on in a while. We're to a point now in this show where I don't really give a damn anymore. If it's the same people, I don't care. We're gonna do what the people like and what I like and find it and put it all together. We don't have to all agree, but we're gonna have fun on this show. Damn it, we're gonna have fun on this show. One way or the other, and we got a lot of new people today. Again, I'm sorry I haven't got to all the comments that I would have liked to. William, are you new? I don't know if you're new or not, but if you are, welcome to the Dattitude family. No matter how horrible Rattler plays, his cult will support him. There is no doubt about it. Doug is great. Yes, Doug is great. Doug will come back soon, I promise. Doug has been on the show. If I had to guess, frequency of guests throughout 293 episodes, Doug is most certainly in the top 5. Ty, you're not super new, are you? I've thought I've seen you before, but if you are new, maybe it's someone else. And if I'm wrong, whatever it is, either way, again, whether this is your first episode or your 293rd, we're all a cult now, Melanie Michael. That's true. It's a Dattitude cult. John Pace is going to go buy his Rattler jersey. We need to get Rattitude shirts made. I'm going to tell you what. If the Rat wins, I'm going to throw this out there. You see which we got on the screen here. Saints play Tampa, Broncos, Chargers, and Panthers. And I got a feeling, I know they're not putting Carr on IR, but I just have this gut feeling that he's not coming back for the next few weeks. If Rat wins 3 of those 4 games, I'm going to get some Rattitude shirts made, and I'm going to find a way to get them to some of our regulars. I don't know if I'll hold a raffle or what. I'll do it with my own money. If I can't get NOLA.com to sponsor it or whatever, we'll find a way to make it happen. If Rat wins 3 out of the next 4 games, we're going to find a way to make some Rattitude shirt. What did Preacher Man say? Best guest. Yeah, he's the man. Doug is the man. I like it, though, when we don't have guests. I mean, if we have guests, I like my regulars. They're my 3 or 4 regulars that come on this show. But I also like it when we don't have guests and it's just me and you talking. Pelicans Noel is rolling with the Rat. Now, I'm going to say this again. I'm about to bring Gabe in for a minute. But I'm going to say this, and I mean this sincerely. Wholeheartedly, you Rat lovers, if I'm right, okay, and again, I will take no pride in being right. We'll just go through the game and talk about it, and we'll do what we normally do. We'll have clips from Dennis Allen, and we'll have clips from Spencer Rattler, and we'll have a clip or 2 from somebody else probably, and we'll go through it the same. I'm not going to get on Rattler unless he's really bad. Then I probably will. But if he's not good, I'm not going to sit here and get on you. But at the same token, you got to come back. You got to come back. You got to come back on Monday. Don't see already. It depends on how he does. No. It depends on how he loses. No. You got to come back. We're going to take all these comments on Mono-y Monday. You can't just throw all this crap out there and then not come back. I don't want to hear it. If you don't come back, if he stinks and you don't come back, I don't know that I'm going to be able to show you comments anymore. I wonder where Big Sean is today. All right, before we get to Gabe, before we wrap up the show, we told you earlier we will let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run and privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. And we also use some big word. I think it was vernacular that Gabe threw in my script. I don't know how it got in there. That I don't even know what it means. But whatever. How do they do this? How do they help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth, whether it's time to sell? Well, after their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, big if, native New Orleanians Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt, and the folks at Evangeline will begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from around the world. The world. They will maximize the return process for the founder and his or her family. The rat train always slows down for Evangeline. Maybe that's my ticket on the rat train. Pelicans, just subscribe. It's going to be back. Thank you. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area. I mean that wholeheartedly. I don't just say that because it's in the script. I'm telling you, there are very few companies like them in this area. They have offices on Poydras Street, right across from the Dome, right across from the building that Rat built, and in Lafayette. None of the companies have their dedication and success. They are fully licensed, ready to serve you. Get in touch with Nick and Ron about what is really important the rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Thank you for subscribing, Pelicans NOLA. Black Preacher Man is not only making a prediction, he's saying on the game, he already said the Saints would win. And Rattler will have a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown. I don't know. What did they announce? Why did they announce it early? Oh, you mean Rattler? Jande wants to know why they announced the Rattler decision early. You know, I don't know the answer to that. That's an interesting question because they had no real need to. So I don't know the answer to that. I wouldn't have done it. I would have let everybody guess. All right, we're going to bring Gabe on and talk a little bit before we close out the show. Well, another long show, but everybody's been into it. Everybody's commenting. Everybody's staying on. No reason to end it. I mean, we got to end it at some point, and that's coming up soon. Gabe Henderson. Man, it's the show's growing, man. What can I say?
Definitely got a lot of new faces even today.
We love the new faces for sure. Keep on coming back.
Absolutely.
What you got for me this morning? I'm going to ask you your prediction. And look, I know you've kind of like, you're having fun with me. Like I'm say going against the rat, just kind of keeping the rat lovers grounded. But I'm interested on your take, and it's okay if it's against mine. Because I don't know.
So I've actually got a positive Spencer Rattler take.
Okay. Go ahead.
One of my, I do obviously every week I do a player picks or a player props piece, and one of my bets in my player prop piece, I'll give this away for free before it comes out on Sunday morning.
All right.
I like Spencer Rattler under 0.5 interceptions.
Ooh.
It's priced at plus 130 at DraftKings. Most sportsbooks actually don't even have the player props listed for this game, but DraftKings is one of the few that does. Priced at plus 130. Spencer Rattler essentially not to throw an interception. He threw 38 passes in preseason, didn't throw a single pick. And I know he's not the most accurate. He's hovering around 50% accuracy. Not the best. I think just because Kubiak is going to keep it conservative for him this week, I really don't think he's going to have him making the throws that Derek Carr makes, none of those bombs to Shaheed. I think he's really going to lean on Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara especially. I think he's going to be under duress for a lot of the game. It's going to be really tough with the offensive line, but the good news is while Tampa Bay does blitz at a 30.9% rate, they don't have a lot of turnovers. They're tied for 13th
They only have
in the league.
3 interceptions all year.
3 interceptions. They're tied for 13th with 8 other teams in the NFL with only 3 interceptions all year. So if you're going to give me plus 130, I like the value on Rattler not to throw a pick.
I can't get on that one, man. I think he's going to throw a pick, but I don't necessarily think he's going to. I don't think he's going to throw like 2 picks or anything. He's going to be awful. But I just look. Sean, you're right. Your one game doesn't define anyone. It doesn't define Rattler. But I'll say this. My thought process and my opinion is that he's never going to be this full-time starter. So he has a chance to – he can only – put it this way. Unless he's really bad, he's not going to do himself a disservice. Getting a chance to start can only really be a positive thing unless he's like really bad. And I don't think he's going to be really bad.
Or unless a lot of your game depends on your mental state and whether your confidence is shot or not. We've seen that plenty of times as well. And you know what? I'll go as far as to say this. No game with this offensive line really matters. And that goes for Derek Carr. That goes for Spencer Rattler. And that goes for, that'd go for Patrick Mahomes.
Absolutely.
With this offensive line.
And I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I'm not going to sit here and say, I've been saying Derek Carr can't win with this offensive line. Well, you know what? Maybe Rattler can't either. I mean, I certainly don't think he's better than Derek Carr.
And here's the thing. If we can judge Spencer Rattler and his performance, that's what we'll do on Monday, I'm sure. We'll judge Spencer Rattler based on his performance. However, we are prefacing it with the fact that he has not been put in a position to succeed, and neither has Derek Carr. And I think that's what a lot of people get lost in with these, especially the people who said Derek Carr's been around for 11 years. He has, but how many times has he been put into a position to succeed? We look at quarterbacks in the NFL. Obviously, Brock Purdy has been put in a position to succeed, and he's done well. Deshaun Watson has been put into a position to succeed, and he has not done well. So you can differ. I'm not saying you can't determine who's a good quarterback and who's a bad quarterback based on their situation, but I mean, obviously there are situations that are a lot worse than others, and it's hard to imagine a quarterback who is stepping into a worse situation right now than Spencer Rattler this week.
I don't disagree with that at all. I really don't. So that's why I say when I come here Monday, and if Rattler has a mediocre to bad game, unless it's like really bad, I'm not going to sit here and jump on him. Part of the reason why I don't expect him to do well is not just because I don't expect him to do well long term. Part of the reason why I don't expect him to do well is A, it's his first start, and B, I can't think of a single quarterback that I would like this week with this O-line in front of him, with no Taysom Hill, with you're talking about your entire offensive line is basically gone except for Taliesa-Fuaga. So how can I say, again, it's not going to be Spencer Rattler. So the chances that I come in here and get on him Monday are super slim. Now, if he kind of stinks it up and the Saints decide at some point to go with Jake Haener in the game and Jake Haener leads them to victory, well, that's a different story. Then I may have something to say. But the chances of that happening are super slim as well.
Yeah, there are 2 things that Spencer Rattler could do to change my opinion of him in this game. He could be Nathan Peterman in his first start, and he could throw 4 interceptions in the first half, in which case I will say he shouldn't come out of the locker room for the second half, throw Jake Haener out there. Or he could succeed in a really bad situation with this offensive line, in which case I will say, okay, maybe some of the love was justified. It'd be crazy to overreact either way, whether he's good, whether he's bad, to one game. Everyone just needs to pump the brakes. The expectations aren't going to change much.
I don't know,
but
man. I'm going to try not to be a smartass, I promise, on Monday. We'll see what happens. All right, final prediction here is we're about to say bye-bye for this Friday now afternoon. What's up?
I have Bucks 27, Saints 16. I don't see a way in which
That's
the
what I
Saints
got.
can score a ton of points. I think the Bucs offense succeeds in the areas that the Saints defense really struggles in, especially with Chris Godwin. I won't give you the play, but I really like Chris Godwin this week. You can catch it in my player props piece on Sunday. He's great out of the slot, and defending the middle of the field is where the Saints struggle. So I really like that. So yeah, I just don't see a logical way that the Saints win this game with Spencer Rattler and this offensive line. I really don't.
Check out all of Gabe's stuff, bet.nola.com. Again, he will have more extended things on the player props. I hear you. It sounds like our predictions are pretty aligned, and we will see you on Monday for a fun show.
Sounds good.
One way or the other, it's going to be fun. All right, everybody. Gabe Henderson. That is pretty close to wrapping up the show. Got a couple more comments to show. If you want to comment, you got one last comment. You better throw it in now. Walt Crawford. Thank you, sir, and thank you for becoming a regular. I know I've seen you a lot here last month or so. We appreciate that. Brian asked if I think they should bench Cam Jordan. I don't know, man. It's a tough one. I'm not ready to bench Cam Jordan, so no. I just think they need to find a way to get him more involved, and I don't know that they have done that. I thought I was going to see him more from the inside and just see if he could do something. It hurts. It hurts my heart. Like Cam Jordan's one of those guys that hurts my heart. You know, for a lot of you, the way you feel about Drew Brees, I kind of feel that way about Cam Jordan. I've always been more of a fan of the defensive guys, or like Ricky Jackson, who, by the way, was on the show, episode number 57. If you want to go back, it was a listen only podcast. We weren't doing it the way we do it now. Ricky Jackson was on episode number. Who else would have been on episode 57? By the way, we got episode 300 coming up. I have no idea. I wonder if, no, I'm not going to even say it out loud. I have no idea who's going to be on episode number 300. That's coming up in a couple weeks. Cam Jordan is my Spencer Rattler. Nah. No, I'm a realist. I will still tell you if I think that it's time, right? I'm still going to tell you what I think. I don't ever I can't say ever, okay? I mean, I might I'm human. So to say that a player's, the way they play or whatever, it's not going to affect my judgment on who they are or whatever. Yeah, there are certain guys I will let get away with more than others, and Cam Jordan's certainly one of them. But I'm going to tell you what I think. And if you haven't figured out by now on this show, that's what I do. I tell you what I think. I'm not always right, but I'm right a lot more than you probably wish I was. Probably more fun. Jerry, by the way, I'm glad you're still here. I just saw you comment. That is going to wrap it up for us. I can't wait to come back Monday. Again, right or wrong doesn't make a difference. I hope Saints win. I hope I eat a crow po' boy. I hope Black Preacher Man is getting the hot sauce ready for me. I hope he's got, open face. You can open face that crow po' boy. I hope we're calling this thing Rattitude. We never did come up with a final. Here we go. Here we're going to, if this happens, it will be the Rattitude podcast if this happens. You ready? John, we love you too. Thank you, sir. Who dat, baby, T? Can't wait for Monday already. If the Crow Boy, yeah, I was thinking about that. Crow Boy. If the Saints win, if the Rat Man is complete on at least 60% of his passes, you're writing this down, Gabe? Don't let me forget this. The Saints win if the Rat Man is 60% or better in his completion percentage. If he throws and runs for a combined at least 200 yards, and if he throws / runs, if he produces one more touchdown at least than he has turnovers, then Monday's show will be called Rattitude. Okay? All those things have to happen. Okay? That's fair, right? Saints win. 60% or better in completion percentage. Rushes and passing combined for only 200 yards, not being unrealistic. And his touchdown to turnover rate is at least one better in the touchdown category We're going to call this the Rattitude podcast on Monday. William, I know, man. That's what I've been talking about. It's like, this show is real, man. It's real. It's at least it's real from my perspective. That's why, like, people say I'm a hater. Not a hater. I'm a realist. I'm not hating on anybody. I hope I'm wrong. I am rooting for the Rat Man on Sunday. I promise I am. I will be there Sunday in the press box, sitting next to Zach Ewing, sitting slightly above the fanboys and more fanboys to my left. I'm telling you, I hope they're all right. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're right. I hope I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll tell you I'm wrong. And if I'm right, I'm not going to gloat like other people would. Yeah, I might tell you I'm right, but I'm not going to gloat. I promise you. Come back on Monday. Come back on Monday. We will have fun either way. That will wrap it up for us on this Friday. I want to thank today's guest, of course, the great Doug Mouton, sports director at WWL-TV. You can check him out, 4th Down and 4. He'll be at LSU tomorrow, whatever. Lots of great stuff. He is one of my favorites, and I am proud to call him a friend. Doug is a wonderful human being, if you can't tell that. As always, I want to thank our BFF, of course, Gabe Henderson. We hope you can join us on Mono E Monday. Either many of you will be roasting me, or maybe you just won't show up, or maybe you'll just stay there in the background. You won't comment. I don't know, whatever it is. Make sure you come back. Reminder to subscribe to the Dattitude YouTube page. If you haven't done so already, click the little bell to receive notifications. If you haven't done so and you're still sitting there in the YouTube queue, again, I don't know why this helps me, but click like. It's not that hard. Just click like. Thank you for doing it. Is it going to do it today? See? Can't. Well, you wanted to do it. It doesn't do it. What is going on? Pissing me off. I don't get it. You'll always receive notifications when we go on the air live, which is Monday through Friday, except Tuesday, live at 11 a.m. Central Time. We do have a weird schedule next week because the Saints play on Thursday. So I haven't figured out exactly. I think it's going to be the same. I think we're Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I think. Don't ask. I'll let you know Monday. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, many more. You can find a replay of the show, as always, on NOAH.com/sports. I know we had some trouble with Apple yesterday. I don't know what was going on there. I think it's up now. If it's not up on Apple now, it will probably be up later when it refreshes. I have no idea what was going on with there. So if you didn't get episode number 292 and you want to go back and find it, you can. We covered a lot of it today, but you can listen to both. Got you covered for the whole weekend. We will see you on Monday. Everyone have a glorious, wonderful, beautiful, ratty kind of weekend. Who dat? Rat-a-dat-dat. Take it easy, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.